What is a life of mastery? Curiosity is part of the secret sauce. I look in the mirror every day and go, where's my mind right now? Pick one thing and then track it.
There's so much that could be invented. What seems today not possible.
But it is possible. It is in the quantum field. Everything possible, even if it hasn't been birthed yet, is touchable. All knowledge is non-local. If I'm in the sufficient state of consciousness to access it, what if the glasses through which we're looking at the issues are not the right glasses?
Ah, beautiful.
That's definitely business 2.0. There's some aspects that are important to my life that I don't feel are valued and nourished here.
Yeah.
What's the unmet need? What I said is money, but what I really want is...
Hello everybody, here is Christian. I am the host of Talking Vibes, and today I have Scott Schwenk. This episode is really important to me because it's the fundamental idea about my work. Like, why do we stand up every day? What is the idea behind our life? Why we are here? These and some more topics we will discuss today in our podcast. Feel more than welcome to join in. Help us spread the transformation of the self-awareness, of the self-development to everybody. So subscribe to our channel, like the episode, and share it with your best friends. And now let's get into that episode. Scott Schwenk.
Yes.
That's your name?
May I offer a short mantra?
For sure.
So, for Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. Satgurunath Maharaj ki jai. Gajananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapita Jambu Palacharu Bhakshanam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakarakam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Hari Om Omikarantai Vidmahe Vakrtundaya Dhimahi Tanodanti Prachodayat Omikarantai Vidmahe Vakrtundaya Dhimahi Tanodanti Prachodayat Omikarantai Vidmahe Vakrtundaya Dhimahi Tanodanti Prachodayat. May the fruits of our podcast uplift all beings as well as the earth. May we be happy. May we be well. May we feel loved. May it be so. And so it is. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Welcome to Talking Vibes. Today, Scott Schwenk, live in LA. And I think this mantra is a beautiful introduction for today. We talked a little about where we're gonna take you today. What is life? What is mastery? And the first thing I always think about is like, how did it all start? And what is the start? Like, is the birth the start? Is it like my first memory? Because I cannot remember about my birth. I think my first fully remembrance about my personal life is maybe 6 or 7. Like I was sitting on the table doing homework and doing it not well.
It's bringing me back to childhood memories of sitting in my playroom where I had all sorts of art supplies. And I would have my parents, I would beg them to save every container, every meat tray, styrofoam, pipe cleaners, whatever, because I would make things out of it for hours. And there was no time. As long as I was really involved, I cared. I cared about what I was up to, but I wasn't attached to the result. Time just passed, and there was no sense of what time it was, whether I was hungry, thirsty, none of this.
It's true. I remember that I loved Legos. And when I set them up, it's like, whew, there was no day and night. It was just that's where I noticed I was really always like, I want to finalize it. Like, it doesn't matter. I want to finish it. But to be honest, not always kind of with love and passion. Yeah. It was more about completing the task. Like more the conquering energy behind it. Like, okay, I did it.
I think so many openings happen for me in that play space. I was just visiting a friend's house. They have a new baby, and the baby's not old enough to work with this one toy that they had out. And I think they're called Edison blocks. And they're different shapes, and they look like stained glass windows. The perimeter of each shape is magnets so that they can stand on end. And they're like Legos. They're really easy to realize the design quickly without a lot of work. And they're so colorful, like the way the light shines through them, that I realized if I hadn't remembered I was at a dinner party, I could have lost myself then and there at nearly 52 years old, building for hours, just changing different shapes.
And I think this is the beauty about like a self-development, like this shaping of yourself, this like developing new possibilities of your own personality.
Well, we've talked about two main principles so far. We've talked about getting lost in the act, in the creative act, and time passes and don't even notice it. And then you mentioned on your side wanting to accomplish something, complete something. And those, you could say, are almost like two poles to play in between. But another piece of this might be the ability that the person on the path of mastery who's further along goes, I need milestones, especially in a bigger project. So how can I break this down into digestible parts?
Yeah, that the overwhelming factor is not there. Of course, like steps I could feel that in my reach I can easily take.
Right.
But if it feels like there is a gap between, where I don't know the next step. Yeah.
And does that filling of the gap involve me developing a capacity? Does it involve me letting something go?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Does it involve me learning a skill? And I think how many of the listeners, I know I do, bump into these gaps all the time, noticeably or without realizing it, don't know what to do, get confused and maybe quit, or maybe you have quit. I know I have quit different things along the way that were challenging.
Or even don't get started.
Or don't even get started. And so this, for me, points at one of the keys, at least in my life, pursuing mastery, is having good mentors, teachers, and coaches. Somebody who's further down the road in some area that I want to grow. Then there's an energetic presence that can help draw me through that gap. And maybe they even have some good concrete teaching skills.
Tools of Titans. It's a book. And there, the intro is written by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Huh.
And that's, when I read that, he said, I was like a millionaire when I came to Hollywood. He started as bricklaying and then invested in the right real estate. And then he became Conan. And this was really interesting for me, because this is exactly what he describes there, that he wouldn't have not been there without the support of people who guided him wisely.
Yes.
And that's why society wants us to believe that we should do it everything by ourselves, and like everything is the self-made millionaire. But I think it's not the self-made millionaire, it's the person who has a lot of good contacts and friends and a dream and a strong belief and his own personal, with his own skills, then is going to achieve it.
Right now, I'm seeing the butterfly. Particularly the blue morpho butterfly has been the mascot of my work for a couple decades. Okay. And here's why. Because it's the only creature I know of that starts out as one creature and becomes an entirely different creature in the same lifetime. So for me, this points at the possibility of becoming something I have no idea how to become. I doubt, maybe I'm wrong, I doubt that the caterpillar is actually sitting around going, you know, I'm kind of bored with the life of a caterpillar. I think I need to turn on these imaginal cells and see what happens. I think this butterfly thing could work out maybe. I have a feeling it's just what happens. Whereas we have this ability of cognition, this ability to desire, this ability to want, this ability to envision things that haven't yet happened. We get stuck because, I think, because of being in these animal bodies that are designed, from what I can tell, to seek out nourishment and avoid things that could create poison or death. That is in direct conflict with taking risks.
Since I was 20, I was asking myself, like, what is the aim? Really, what is the aim, the goal of life? What is the aim, the goal of life? Why I'm here? Why I'm born? This was always a question. Because like, if we go back like maybe 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, we were just fighting about surviving. Yeah, it's about food, water, I don't know, reproduction, la 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 la. This was mainly the humanity thing. Maybe some rich person, some kings, whatever, could develop more skills, but the most people that just wake up and save the day. Save
Or get through the day.
Get through
without
the day.
dying.
and yeah, exactly. And in some areas, like in Europe or something, they needed to prepare for the winter.
Yeah.
So now we are sitting here in the podcast. Yeah, we have everything, and then we are like, mastery life. What is this?
Are you thinking this is a privileged conversation?
For sure, because if you say like, what does it need to be 1% of the human population? There's a strong figure. It means like you're in the 1%. If you earn more than $35,000 a year.
Is that US dollars?
Yeah. Then you're in the top 1% of the human population.
Wow.
And this means that a lot of people in the US and Europe are above this. And this means we are definitely the 1% of the world.
The irony is that if living in Los Angeles, where I live currently, if I only made $35,000 a year, I would be on government subsidies and maybe barely getting through the day.
I experienced it too in LA. It can be an expensive place, yeah. But it's just an example of figures. It doesn't matter. Sure. It's just an example. It shows that we are sitting right here and talking about this topic on a Monday makes us huge privilege. If humanity started in this like animal behavior and we are now in this position and say where it's going, they're like really the idea from the Baba Gita, like I would call it like the Bible of the Hindus, like where they explain that this experience of the soul lasts for about 50,000 to 25,000 lives. And then you are mastering the life circle of being rebirth. And then you are not reborn anymore. And then you're going somewhere else. And that felt for me during meditation or also during like plant medicine, like an area where I could feel like that this life as a human being is more like an embryo in a womb. And the real soul experience will start after this. But this is so far beyond my imaginations that I cannot I cannot say this is true or not, because for sure we cannot measure it. Or I don't know somebody who went there and came back and can tell me the story. But this is if somebody told me this story or tells me this story, it feels totally true for me. That after this life, several lives, there will be a fully developed soul of Christian or however you want to call it, that experience his soul in a completely different way.
It resonates for me partially because of back to having good teachers. The teachers that I've been drawn to are people who have had some depth of experience that led them to believe that transmigration or reincarnation and this possibility that you're laying out is real. For me, it's the only thing that makes sense of these short lifespans. One of the only things that makes sense of having such short lifespans. You know, we have all these capacities, these creative capacities. And I feel like many of the people I've befriended who are later in life have felt like if they could just get more time in a healthy body, they were finally ready to do their thing. They had learned enough and been humbled enough by life experiences to get out of the way and actually give something of value, leave something of value. Not that we don't leave things of value in our 20s or our teens, but for me, this is another piece of mastery, is getting beyond doing it just for self-gratification. I get to enjoy it, and the more I enjoy it, the more I'm going to be able to open to the task or the project. But for me, it can't just be about me. It's not interesting if it's just about me.
Ah, beautiful. Goosebump time. These, like when I look at my skill set, yeah. Like when I was a kid, I was drawing always machines, yeah. And I was drawing, I have this, I found it at home, I was drawing like a modern coffee machine, like where they're grinding the beans and stuff like this. And during the time they were, I was drawing this picture, it was not common in Germany, machines like this. So don't want to tell that I saw the future, whatever.
Right.
It's more like, it feels like that certain kind of skills are more a memory of old lives.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some things I do, and they're perfectly. They come with ease. There's like when I'm looking about my work as a mechanical engineer, it's so easy sometimes. Like if somebody explains me a structure or a machine, if I see a machine, they always called me the machine whisperer. Because always when I worked back then in a research department for a big automotive company, and when a machine didn't work as it should be, I was literally feeling into this machine. And I get the sense where I had to look at this, it was big forging machines, at this machine. I was walking around, okay, I don't know why, but we have to open this one.
Yeah.
Let me look in, what's in there. And then I usually found the topic. And I was really, really good in it to get a sense what's need to be fixed. And this is a skill I didn't learn at university, I didn't learn at school. It was something that always was in me and separated me a lot from other people. They're like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
How did you knew that we have to look there? And there's some even like older people who are like more experienced. They're like, what is this guy doing? Like he cannot explain it, but he's right, you know?
I just watched a movie like this the other night about a true story about a famous mathematician. Ramanujan was his name. And I think it was called The Man Who Knew Infinity.
Okay.
Really, really good movie. Jeremy Irons plays one of his teachers at Oxford. And he becomes an Oxford fellow. Towards the end, hopefully this isn't spoiling it for you, you're going to watch it. He shares with us that it's not that he cares about math by itself. It's that for him, the numbers are an expression of the divine, and he doesn't want any part of his life, any one of his breaths wasted on anything that's not an expression of the divine or in service of the divine. An awareness that can know things. So he knew how to do things, but he didn't learn the discipline of how to do the proofs. So this is what they put him through, and it was really hard for him. He was really frustrated. And they were accusing him of making it up or cheating because he was coming up with these incredible formulas. This is more your area than mine, this area of non-local awareness, which is, I believe, a subset of quantum philosophy. Non-local awareness. To be able to move the pixel of my attention from the foregrounded normal historic personality, like I'm Scott, I like this, I don't like that, I like you, I don't like you, let's go here, make me happy, me, move that pixel off of that into another spacious awareness that can feel the machine parts or the human body on the surgery table or the whatever it is, and be able to perceive, conceive, and actualize from this wider field of awareness.
What I think, first of all, is really important to be aware of is like quantum philosophy, as you said, and there are quantum mechanics.
Thank you. This is where you're my teacher.
What is the difference? It's really, really important. The difference is mechanic means it's proven.
Okay.
Philosophy is there's right now no measurement how to prove it. And if it comes to quantum mechanics, what is proven is like the split line experiment. And that's where it's going crazy, where they say like the photons, when they have a photon cannon and they shoot them out, and the behavior of the photon changes if they knew if they will be observed in the future by a human or not.
The behavior of the photon shot from the cannon changes
if they know they will be observed in the future or not. And that's how they change their state, if they be matter or wave. And that's mechanic. That's 100,000 times proven.
Wow.
And that's where we could be in the quantum mechanics. Of course, you cannot get this fact in a rational mind.
I step back for a second. You said you cannot get this in a rational mind. Something about jumps out, but, yeah. about mastery or moving into a wider field of consciousness than how I grew up or what my diploma says. What's the state of mind? Is it transrational? Like transrational, I mean like transcends and includes the rational intellect. I don't throw it out in the bin behind the building. I can still access it, but I'm going wider. Is that what you mean? Like, I can't understand this with the ordinary rational mind. What can I understand it with?
I mean, if you take this experiment by itself, it says that there's a chance to tell the future.
But what's the mind? If I want to cultivate the capacity as a listener or myself to be able to perceive things that are beyond my pay grade, what am I looking to cultivate? I mean, I teach meditation, I practice, you practice meditation. Will this lead me in the direction of being able to perceive things that are beyond the familiar?
For me, I always try to open myself to accept first everything. Like acceptance, I think it's a big point. Accept that this is there. And if it's not familiar with my beliefs, then I always try to get into myself and think, is it worth to change my belief system to bring in this new fact? Because this is what for me always research is about. Like research means you're talking about something 50 years ago, everyone was sure that it's not going to happen.
Right.
That's research, no? Like the earth round, flat, whatever. It's always like, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. And then somebody comes and says, no, that's true. And everybody says, no, that's not true. Prove us. And then normally he cannot prove it for 10 to 100 years. Maybe he's dead, and then it's proven. That's how research normally works. And if it's proven in his lifetime, he gets a Nobel Prize. If not, then it's a book story, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everything that somebody says will be true, but I think that's how research works.
So once I've accepted how things are, or what's already seems to be known, then what's my next step in expanding my awareness in service of bringing forth possibilities?
Do you have an idea about this topic?
From my own direct experience, when I'm in a creative process, I start by acknowledging what I already know. Maybe I write it down, maybe in my notebook, especially if I'm going to write a new course or something like this, or a new training, or I'm under a scope of work for a business culture. That's a particular one. Like, okay, here's how the culture is. Here's what all the key stakeholders have told me. Here's where they want it to be. Now, there's a gap. How are we going to cross this gap? And I don't find it useful to go in some sort of a linear process. I have to keep going ahead to, it's already done. The desired outcome is already done. How did we get there? I have to stand in like it's actually now, that it's already done. That and more is possible, more than I know. That and more is possible and already done. Can I really get inside of that, like in a 360 or more degree view, and look around and pay attention, like really listen, but not just listen with my ears, with my whole existence, listen for clues. And I've found that if I can stay in that place, or cultivate that place, not stay, keep cultivating that place, intuitive wisdom starts to bubble up. It may be, oh, go to that book in your room on that one shelf and look in there. And then call so-and-so and ask them about this subject. And then things start to string themselves together. So my premise, and I don't have proofs for this, is that all knowledge is non-local.
For sure.
Then everything possible, even if it hasn't been birthed yet, is touchable. Is touchable if I'm in the sufficient state of consciousness to access it. So what I've noticed is that relaxation, just like getting into meditation or having good sex, relaxation is key. If I can't relax my body, I'm more likely to be in a local state of mind, a familiar state of mind. Breath, I say often, how you're breathing is how you're living. You want to change the current experience. I mean, those of you listening, you want to try an experiment, radically deepen the length of your exhales right now, or slow the length of your exhales down as though you're going to take 5 minutes to exhale. Take a full inhale. Really feel that. Melt your shoulders away from your ears. And then as slow as humanly possible, exhale out your nose. And you're going to notice the thought stream slow down immediately. So those two things, softening and breathing, and then having that intention. And I know if my intention is functional or not if it's opening me. So if my intention if it's too small or too egocentric, there's going to be a tension, the tension of self, the tension of small self. And so I'm not seeing over the wall of small self. I'm still inside the walled off kingdom of my own echo chamber, my own ego complex. So if there's tension and I'm not seeing anything and I've been sitting there for about 20 minutes, I know I need to check my goal. Is the goal or the intention nourishing to the field that I'm looking at, to the field that I'm sitting in?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right? So for me, if I don't know where to go, I come back to asking myself, is there really actually love in it? For more than just myself, is there love in it?
Is the goal nourishing? I love that.
And nourishing to whom? Is it just nourishing to the 1%? Not big enough for me.
You said the knowledge is non-located. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Non-local, yeah.
Non-local. Me as a mechanical engineer with a good background in quantum mechanics and philosophy, for sure there's a quantum field. And for me, there all the knowledge is stored. So it means there is no personal idea. They're just ideas. And if you're in the right position, you can touch it. And then the field opens. But what I also want, from my perspective, is that also mankind must be ready. If the knowledge for creating like an anti-gravity plate or something like this, mankind would not be ready.
So wait, let's just I want to highlight this or double click on this, because this is really, really powerful to my ears, and I think maybe to the listener, that I might be ready to access a particular non-local bit of knowledge, wisdom, energy, powerful, something really, really powerful. I may have developed myself enough mastery that I could access that. But because I'm still in a body on this planet at a particular time and place that is not, on the whole, that time, place, and group is not ready to receive it,
for sure,
I won't be able to download it,
for sure,
or execute it.
For sure.
And I shouldn't think there's something wrong with me because of that.
For sure.
I think that's really powerful, given that we're in a dialogue about what is a life of mastery, that the master knows on some level intuitively, the master senses when to let go.
I mean, that's one main key from my perspective about mastery. Of course, it's always about sending and receiving. And if you create something and nobody's able to receive it, there's no worth in it. And that's it. If you can download it, you already received it. No, if you can download, okay, the earth is round or the earth is flat, then it's already there. But I mean, literally, you don't even get this idea. If mankind is not ready for having the earth round or flat, don't even get the idea about that. It's blocked in a what I felt is like there's really like a time lock, and the time is running, and then it's saying, okay, 2021, then there's the first chance to unlock it. Then if nobody is unlocking it, it takes 2 years more. There's another place to unlock it. That's how, for me, knowledge feels like. There's like certain kinds you can dive into this, and this makes the brilliant minds. I think they're all moving like this. They are like Albert Einstein. His greatest idea, he had him during the night. He woke up and it was there. Tell me this was his idea. No, it was not his idea. He had the right vibrations to unlock this at the right position. And
it was the middle of the night when his body was relaxed and receptive.
Yeah, and then you unlock it, it's ready to unfold. And what I also think is like, even if you are not doing it, even if you can unlock it, somebody else will do it.
Yeah.
So I think mankind is so stable that it's not about one person. So the humanity will never die just because one did nothing. There will always be multiple persons who has similar resources, and the person who does it with the most love, that's what I guess, will be really successful in this topic and bring it out to mankind.
So the knowledge, the possibilities could be like water flowing down a mountain, and water will choose the path of least resistance and flow. And it's not personal to that particular section of dirt that the water went around it. The water is going to seek
For sure.
the easiest path.
And then the sea will create it.
That's right. Men, women, and those in between who are going to be instruments, wherever there's preparation and openness, it's going to flow. I think what we haven't touched about, maybe that's our part two, is things we can actually do that work to cultivate that receptivity. Part one is receptivity. Part two is follow through. Part three is completion. And not everybody gets to completion. Some people never make it past working on becoming receptive to a good idea whose time has come. Some people don't have the courage or the confidence or haven't figured out the resources to follow through and try it out, make prototypes, or are so caught up in making their perfect offering that they never get a prototype out to get enough ideas about what to change. I mean, didn't you go through more than one prototype in creating the Chi Blanco technology?
Yes, I did. But the thing is, what I have really to say that I really tried to make it perfect from the beginning. So for me, it was more like taking a long research time where I really tried to get in all the ideas, the possibilities. Like also when I'm receiving ideas, like where's my ego involved? No, where I just want to make things happen. Then you get, I think then the knowledge gets a certain, you coloring it in.
Yeah.
It's not clear anymore. And that's where a good idea turns into something nobody needs.
Yeah.
So that's what I respect and love the most, when the idea is clear transformed. And it's in the most perfect way created.
So I think there's a difference between creating Post-it notes and creating a Chi one.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Like certain things we could create many prototypes and get them out to people and try them out. There's not a real high cost in terms of how people see us if it's just Post-it notes. But like if people are spending a certain amount of money on, say, a laptop computer, and when they go to push the on button, nothing happens, that brand is going to lose a lot of face value. So I think the process and how much room we have to make mistakes and try things out depends on what we're making, really, and having enough awareness to know how much pressure, time, and research to put on what, and when it's time to put something out. Some of us, I don't know if you're one of them, can be really caught up in being perfectionists. When I was in art school, before my arm broke open, I would draw so small when it was photorealism, so small because I wanted to get it perfect, and I didn't realize I was just cramped. I couldn't really create until my arm broke open and I could just start to use different colors to create shading and gradation. But before that, I was trying so hard to be perfect on top of feeling like I couldn't, that it was limiting my ability to prototype. You know, there's a great story in a book called Fear and Art about a pottery teacher in a university level class. And he's experimenting. He divides the class into two halves. He says, okay, you over here, this half, your grade is going to be based on making the perfect pot. So whoever makes the perfect pot, that'll get an A, and then the curve will go from there. This half of the room is based on volume. So whoever makes the most pots will get the A, and then the curve will go from there. Who do you think made the most interesting work at the end? The perfection group or the volume group? The volume group, because they had enough experimentation time to really get in and feel how everything worked with their hands, their body, the temperature of the room, the water, the clay. They did so many versions that they got in there. Now, that's very different than making a laptop computer.
It's beautiful. It's the same like Van Gogh. He was drawing like every day, 8 hours. That's how he came so perfect. Like so, that's why his drawings are so individually. Because he saw his job, his paintings, he didn't thought he was a drawer. He thought it was his job to create art. So no matter what day he stands up, and at 8 it was drawing time for 8 hours. That's the you have to do to get mastery.
That's the discipline part.
Yeah, you have to do like first, open receiving, thinking, whatever. But at the end, it's always about the doing.
The piano player plays scales. There's an argument that among some people about Mozart being privileged. And what they don't realize is the tremendous number of hours he practiced, so much so that his hands were crippled.
And maybe even in his lives before.
That too. I mean, that's a whole other thing that we can't necessarily quantify or prove.
No, we're in the philosophy again.
Yeah, now we're in the philosophy. But you know, where some principles are really emergent here about, and certainly not the end of the road on what mastery could be, but so being open, having a commitment bigger than oneself, doing practices and behaviors that are most conducive to bringing forth that art or that craft, and having a good mentors and teachers.
And really believing in it. Of course, like even if you're starting or not good in it, but you feel it, do it. Because I strongly believe, or I like this idea, if you die and you can carry on all this knowledge you created. Like, no, you cannot carry on the money or like your face or whatever. But if the skills are transferred through the quantum field to the next life, and you're gonna keep it. No, that's in the quantum philosophy, that's the idea why people have different skills, because they created it in the lives before. So if you, it's just an idea, I cannot prove it, but if this idea is true, and I love this idea, then it's always worthy to create new skills and mastery them, because it will be there forever. I love this idea, because then you can always start and say, okay, I never draw a picture, I'm gonna start today.
Yeah.
And it will be the worst picture you ever draw, for sure. But the day after, and the day after, and the day after. And I like this idea. That's what keeps me always running. Like, really don't, even if I fail or whatever, the idea of that this skill will be available maybe in the next life.
Okay, Christian. So as Christian,
yes.
Christian Bauer,
for sure.
This life, death is certain, the time is not.
Death is certain.
What skill sets are most important to this Christian sitting here today to develop, knowing that death could come in any time, that you want to put in that quantum bank account?
It's really on the spiritual side. It's really like, besides everything I do and I love doing, it's really developing my personality, like developing this inner soul, like however you want to call it, like this thing that's inside me that, like when I'm standing up, how do I feel? Do I think positive, negative? I'm fearful, not? That's what it feels like. If I mastery this, then life becomes so easy. Then it doesn't matter if I'm riding a car or if I'm drawing a picture or whatever I do, it doesn't matter. Like, if this inner skill set of being in a positive mind and enjoying life and be open, seeing it from the positive side, no matter if it rains or not. This is, I think, that the skill ever that you cannot even buy it. That's the skill in life, the skill. And while I'm talking about it, it even feels so true that if I every second I spend in this developing this skill, it's the fundamental of everything. Everything you do is always connected to this skill. If you stand up happy and saying, okay, that's a great day. Maybe yesterday was not so, but today will be a great day. And you keep this energy and say, okay, what I'm doing first. And you go through this and you keep always this energy, you will create beautiful things. And you will get it back also from others, because they can feel it, they can see it. This message was so beautiful. Thanks that you helped me. La 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 la. Yeah, and that's what I think. That's the most important skill to develop.
An important teacher in my life, and I don't think she coined this phrase, but she said it enough times that I associate it with her. She said, "Wisdom is measured by how much you love." And to really unpack that, to really be with that, and to see the implications of that, wisdom is measured by how much you love. So first of all, then what is wisdom? Well, it sounds distinct from information about something. Wisdom, if I have the ability to love more and more and more, then what is wisdom? Wisdom must see a bigger picture than just my small ego's desires and aversions. Wisdom must see more than just how somebody appears in this moment. Wisdom must see and experience and be aware of more in order to love that much. I remember once somebody came to my guru's ashram who was crazy, and there was a line, darshan is the custom of going up and receiving the blessings of a saint or an enlivened statue of a saint in darshan or a deity. So there was this long queue, and this man came up with a gun. And I think the Buddha had this, I think many different teachers have had some version of this story. And the net of it, the man says, you know, I could shoot you right now if I wanted to. And he said, and I could let you. Who had the greater power? You know, but what I'm touched by, and I don't know if everyone listening feels it, is the love that the teacher had access to not go into a reactive mode, to go into fight or flight, to go into directing anger. You know, we're not wrong if we do that, but like to be able to transcend that, to be able to come from a wider, more, the man put down his gun and started weeping in the face of that acceptance and powerful presence. So without lifting a finger, he disarmed the man. So what else can love do? What else can love do? And then the bigger question, like, you know, what is love when we go beyond all of our concepts and greeting cards? What is this thing we call love? So for me, the path of mastery is studying and embodying more of that. And then everything else comes along with it. I've noticed that when I'm more attuned with the flow of what seems to be love, there's more creativity, intuition is stronger and more precise, boundaries are clearer, what's a yes and what's a no is more obvious.
I mean, when you are in a loving state, there's no place for fear. When you're loving space, there's no place for worries. And that's why I think it's really opening all channels of your body. You're getting into the frequency, or however, you're getting into the right state to receive the possibility, the knowledge that's in the quantum field. You get a strong sense. And what I think, or what I always feel, is I get a strong feeling that like everything is okay.
Yeah. Even when it's not okay. This is I want to pick our listeners up a little bit, because one could possibly have heard Christian in such a way to go, oh, well, if I'm feeling real love, then I won't ever feel any fear or worries. That's not yet my experience, that things can coexist. And I like the way that certain shadow work practitioners talk about us having parts. So it's not I'm angry. Some of my parts are coming up with anger, and I have room for that. Or some of my parts are angry, some of my parts are afraid, and some of my parts want to give you a hug and kiss. So that I can, the greater field I might be able to touch and train to be aware of is love, but it doesn't necessarily negate or immediately dissolve the parts that have yet to reopen to love. I think it's really important that people hear that it's not black or white, that if I have love, I won't have any fear. I've had plenty of moments when love and fear are both present, and something in me knows to trust the love more, even though the fear is really loud.
That's interesting.
And those are the moments for me that are caterpillar towards butterfly.
It's beautiful, Chris. It's for me, it's definitely more black and white.
Okay.
That's why it's really good that you point that out, because I think that's where personalities can be really different.
Yeah.
Like how I met you as a person who's really sensitive and really aware, and I think you would say similar about me. But in this point, for me, it's really more when it comes to emotions, often more black and white. It's like I'm fully in the flow, I'm fully happy, or the fear catches me. But it's never that I say, okay, I feel the love fully, and then a little bit fear in the corner.
Well, I won't say I feel the love fully. I'll say that when I can touch the love, like right now, I can touch the love. It's not the only flavor in the soup of my awareness. I can feel the love. I can also foreground something else if I shifted my focus. You know, I could shift my attention to the fact that I notice my stomach is getting interested in food. Or I can shift it back over to the spaciousness, the love, the connection of the conversation. So I'm curious about the black and white nature. Is it the mind is black and white or reality is black and white?
Feeling. It's more like, if you ask me like this, it feels more like there are three areas. Fully good emotion, a neutral area where I can feel every emotion.
Yeah.
Or negative emotion.
Huh.
And between these areas, I'm shifting. Like if you would ask me, I would try to explain it like this. Like it's not that the area where I'm aware about every emotions, I definitely can leave that in both directions. In the, wow, today is such a great day, and there like literally a bomb could explode next to me, and it wouldn't change this. It was like, okay, who cares? And there's this neutral area where everything has the same place to stay, to be. And there's this other area, this darker area where no matter what happens, it gets always a negative one. That's how I experience life.
Yeah. Well, this touches on something you and I spoke about lunch last week, which is the stages of ego development. And that each stage, and we're not stuck in one stage all day long. We're taking perspective from all the stages that we have access to. But like, how many perspectives we can experience in a moment? You know, like a baby up until about anywhere between 4 and 6 can only take a first-person perspective. I, me, and mine. Everything is an extension of themselves, and not in a self-realized way yet. So the first-person perspective child, if you give them a choice between a friend and a toy, will always choose the toy over the friend in first-person perspective.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
When they cross into second perspective, they will choose the friend, but they actually still want the toy. And it's their first split ego state.
Okay.
Third person is when we can actually just be interested in what the facts are. To be more specific, so in this moment, I have a perspective of this whole room we're sitting in and a perspective of you. Well, there's also your perspective. Can I get your perspective from your eyes without having to agree or disagree? That's a second person perspective. Then our producer and our friend who's listening, your wife, that's a third person perspective on our conversation. Can I perceive your wife or our producer's perspective on our conversation? That would be me taking a third person perspective. And it goes on from there, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th perspective. So when we come back to like the thing we're looking at or playing with and turning around like a diamond, which is kind of fun to see different facets, like, well, how many emotions can we feel at the same time? How many positive emotions can we feel at the same time? Can I have wonder and awe and love at the same time? Can I have, what all can we experience all at the same time? And if the quantum field contains everything, then as my ego development expands, then I become more and more like the quantum field where everything co-arising simultaneously. And then whatever I give attention to is what I'll have the most experience of. And the more nimble I become, the more I can shift my attention at will, rather than have other people or the news media or social media tell me what to think and feel.
It's a beautiful explanation, of course. It brings me, or it clarifies that I have not mastered this field. And that for me there is more to learn, how to not get into this black and white state and keep it more in the area where everything is there, works and lives together at the same point without being right or wrong.
I might need your guidance on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's about you.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to bow to you for saying what you just said. Like, I'm actually tearing up. The humility of going, wow, I see something that I could grow. That touches me that you're willing to say that. You don't have to say that. You're a CEO, you're a smart guy, you've accomplished a lot. You could just kind of be really robust about that. That touches me. What I see in spending time with you around all the points, the inflection points of your development, is that you got curious about something. And as soon as you Christian, gets curious about something, that's it. You're going to lean in. You're going to start reading about it. You start noticing about it. You're going to start noticing people who are into it. And then the next thing you know, you're there. And I don't think that that's just a Christian phenomena. I think this is another phenomena of a lifetime of choosing to practice mastery, is that curiosity is part of the secret sauce. What do you think?
It's this being playful like a child. This kind, that's your face. Like this face, when I see, it feels like I'm sitting a 4-year-old version next to me. Like, yeah, okay, you got it.
Because like when you see my face do that, this is like when I realize I'm in my sweet spot of life, which is I realize sitting here freshly, I remember and forget this. All I really want to do is play all day with other people who can play with a really wide awareness and a really big box of toys. Like I just want to play and create and discover and offer back, to life itself with people who want to have fun playing and discovering and letting go of the past, all this.
If you can invite this into your life, in relationship, in your job, that's it. This playfulness, if this can be a big part of your life.
I want to ask you the hard question then.
Tell me.
So when you notice you're not in that mood, what are your simple Christian moves that bring you back to the playfulness?
If I ever have simple moves, I'm gonna write a book about it.
Whatever your sort of simple moves, like what do you do when you notice you're getting stuck and you realize it and you're not going to make yourself wrong about it? You're like ready to pivot. What do you tell yourself?
To be honest, first thing is I try to regulate the emotions.
What do you do? What are your I mean, I have mine.
Just with the mind, regulate the emotions down, like making myself, I guess, kind of cold.
Making yourself
kind of cold, like
physically cold?
No, like killing the emotions out of my mind.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when it really comes to business, and it's the overwhelming situations, hard negotiations, I really cool down my emotions. I take them out so that I'm fully aware, fully in my mind, like more getting into the robot soldier style.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Germany. I've been to military, no? But
so you will yourself into a sort of a focused place.
Yeah, American would call it focused place, but it's not about focus. It's really about taking the emotions out.
Interesting, because I would go the other direction, but get to the same place.
But that's what I want to say. I think that's not a healthy version. So I wouldn't recommend it to the listener. It was just an honest answer to your question.
Thank you.
But I think the way more fulfilling version is, like, if I can fill this up, be patient with love, opening my perspective, then I'm getting back to this loving space, to this playfulness. And then the result will be way more fulfilling for everybody. The other version, like if I go into this robot state, in this fighting state, this will be not fun for everybody who's involved. Mm-hmm. And that's what I sadly really often, when it comes to business, that's a new standard I definitely want to set. Like doing business differently than we used to. Like without this idea of getting into fight and getting the biggest part of the cake, into how can we make this more fun for everybody?
That's definitely business 2.0. I think we're seeing an emergent field of business that can get things done, and maybe better than we even imagined, while still having a healthy work culture and people not being burnt out. You know, like I think that we're learning as a culture, at the edges of culture. I won't say this is the mainstream yet. I mean, the phrase got coined over a decade ago, the triple bottom line. Not just the financial bottom line, the triple bottom line, which is people, profits, and environment, keeping an eye on all three. And not just as a slogan on the wall in the lunchroom that we don't really follow, but actually having measures to see how are we doing, caring for the people that work for us, with us, or our suppliers. How are we caring for the environments we touch, physical and non-physical environments? And yeah, the profits. The profits are a way to keep score. If there's no rules in the game, how do you know if it's a game? You know what game? You don't know if it's soccer or football or baseball. So the numbers do matter, but having ways to measure other things.
I had like a strong conversation with two two females. They are working in the health care, and they said they got so tired by this male energy of scoring.
Scoring?
Yeah, like they say, like, why do we have to measure everything in money?
Mm.
Like they would, I mean, you can always ask, like, how should it work otherwise? But like literally what they wanted to say me is like, why we can get rid of money and everybody just doing what he's doing and everybody gets what he needs. I'm willing enough to listen to that.
Yeah.
And saying, if this is if this is a female energy, and say, like, how much is society right now dominated by the frame a male can fit in it?
I think that's one part, but I wouldn't want to miss the underlying communication that they were expressing in the moment. And I would want to actually go back and ask them in a careful way, because people we have to feel like we're going to be heard to be able to think creatively. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to come from that black and white thinking or not be really, really truthful. There's a communication of an unmet need in those women speaking. And I don't think it's just females. It tends to be a stronger feminine voice, but that can come through any gendered body, just to be clear. What's the unmet need? I don't think that they want to skip getting paid. I don't think they would want to vote for not getting paid. I don't think they want to vote for getting less money. I think there's an unmet need, and that was a way to articulate it, or to start to articulate it. It's like, there's some aspects that are important to my life that I don't feel are valued and nourished here. And I want them to feel valued and nourished, not just for me, but for everyone who I care about in this business. So it's not that I'm really saying I want money to go away, because money actually offers a lot of opportunities. And if it wasn't money, like it said, it'd be beads or something else. What I said is money, but what I really want is these other areas to also be nourished. How can we do that together?
Maybe a lot of people saying that their needs at work are not fulfilled anymore. You said example like being seen, like not just profit, being seen, being valued, the needs that we have.
Or they're seeing, like, you know, I've been to different health clinics and functional medicine clinics, and there have been conversations like this that have come up with the nurses. And really the issue in that instance that I'm remembering is less about how they're being valued and compensated, but about certain offers being taken away from the patients because it's not making the business enough money, or it's too expensive. So I don't think it's always just about personal compensation. I think that we have seen a lot of places across the planet where people were prioritizing profits, and maybe very few people profiting from that profit, over the greater good. I forget who said it, Milton something, or maybe Milton was the person, the last name, guns or butter. Like, is it, we're going to put the money into guns or butter? Are we going to feed people, or are we going to defend the nation? Like, there's only two choices. And that's a very old mindset. And I think that this dialogue and the possibilities at the edges of society are looking at questions like, what if the glasses through which we're looking at the issues are not the right glasses? Like, what if we need a different set of glasses, or a different way to look at the challenges, and we'll see more? If we only see that everything is binary, like it's either feeding people or defending the nation, it's either this or this. Does nature operate that way? You know, you go into a forest full of trees, find me a good tree and a bad tree. They're all working in harmony. And then if we look deeper at the mycelium network throughout the entire planet of mushrooms connecting all living matter with no separation.
And if mankind in itself, like master yourself, myself, I think then also ideas will show up who helps to implement this harmony in the humanity.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's so much stuff out there that could be invented, what seems to be today not possible. And I think, like, if we decide to change up more in a way of living in harmony together worldwide, and not fighting each other, then I think there will open new ways of technology to get this done.
And the way forward, one of the ways forward I see in that is to not wait for the world to stop fighting, to not wait for countries to stop fighting, but I look in the mirror every day and go, where am I at war with parts of myself, and what am I going to do differently? What's another way about that? Because the Vedas say if you can't find it in the body, you can't find it anywhere. So if I can find a way to come into harmony with myself and all of my parts, all the different aspects of my being, then I have a chance of doing that in my direct relationships.
I love this, and this is the mastery. Like, if somebody wants to have it in one sentence, I would exactly say this. Like, if we want to do something, we have to literally develop ourselves into a newer version that's driven by love.
Mm-hmm.
And then humanity will change. If I look to my parents and I ask them, have you thought about that when you were a kid, there will be mobile phones?
Right.
There haven't been even computers back then, like the personal computers. Yeah? And this is not so far away. So in 50 years, or like, for example, like ChatGPT, like if you had somebody told the story 10 years ago or 5 years ago, they would say, no, not possible.
What if you told the story about a world where war is obsolete? You know, so far you're talking about concrete inventions, physical objects, or technologies. What about human development where war has become obsolete and people are optimistic in the face of conflict? Right now that sounds impossible, but what was once impossible becomes possible.
I don't feel that this is impossible.
Maybe it doesn't seem plausible in our lifetime, looking at the world situation, but it is possible. It exists in the quantum field.
I think it's even possible in my lifespan.
May it be so.
But it's a choice. Like, if everybody take cares about their personal development.
Well, that's just it.
That's it. That's
and we come back
point.
to the basic economy that you were talking about with the 1% of people over $35,000, which is not a lot of money in most major, markets. More people having the ability and the resources and the support to develop those aspects of character.
And that's why I always recommend if there's a situation where you have the possibility to develop yourself,
use it.
Use it. And don't get too much distracted from all the surroundings.
And make it accessible to yourself. Pick one thing to grow, and other things will come along with it. So maybe it's just starting out with the simple, using your breath. If you don't like how you're feeling, change the rhythm and the depth of your breath. Use an alarm. There's an app that I recommend to people. I don't get any money from it. It's like 99 cents in the App Store. It's called Mindfulness Bell. And it just rings a Tibetan bell, like a meditation bell. And you can change it when you start to ignore it. When I first started using it, I'd have it go off at random 5 times an hour. And then you do whatever your chosen thing is.
Beautiful.
So for people who've got a lot of practice in meditation, and I can feel you listening out there who have been meditating for years, but maybe you've plateaued, you set it 5 times an hour or 3 times an hour. And each time you hear it, ask yourself, where's my mind right now? Just the asking without judgment, where's my mind right now?
Okay.
For other people, it'll be softening the body. Relaxing the body, like you're opening a fist with your imagination. Soften the soles of your feet and the palms of your hands, corners of your eyes, ears, tongue, pelvic floor. But pick one thing and then track it without getting too heavy-handed about the results. Just track it. Write a little bit each day at the end of the day. What did you learn in that area, and how are you gonna play with it tomorrow? How are you gonna play with it tomorrow? Can you bring playfulness to it?
Okay, the app. I got it. The app. Relaxation. Okay. Playfulness. Okay. I like to bring it in a also an example, like give it some practical stuff also to the listeners. Like what you could say, this is always good to use if your mind is not where you want to have it right now.
I will come back again and again and again like a broken record, but a beneficial broken record, because I've seen that it works. So I'm going to actually just do it right now. If if you're not driving a car, and if you are, pull over if you're going to do this, or save this for later, bookmark it. So we're going to do a short practice, and I want you to see how quickly it works.
Yes.
So without changing your posture at all, Feel your hands and make fists with them. And I want you to feel what that tightness feels like. Now let them go and open them. Fully open them. Now place them somewhere. Just let them be, your hands. Keep softening the palms of your hands like you're continuously opening fists with your imagination. Just make it up that it's easy. Bring that same feeling through the soles of your feet. Soles and palms softening and softening and softening. Let your breath come in a little deeper and let it go out a little slower. Soften the four corners of your eyes. The inside and the outside corners are melting like butter on a hot day. And so is the region inside and around your ears. You're just letting go. On each exhale, letting go, and making up that letting go is easy and fun. Last two areas. Soften your tongue while you let it rest deeply in the floor of your mouth. Last area. Softening all the little muscles running through the pelvic floor, groin region, sphincter PC muscle, letting go. Soles, palms, corners of the eyes, region of the ears, tongue, pelvic floor, groin region. The breath is coming in deeply and it's going out sweetly, really slowly, like there's a feather at the end of your nose and you don't want to blow it away. Now let your attention just begin to gather about 3 to 5 finger widths inside the center of your chest, give or take. And have the feeling that you're inhaling into this region, and as you breathe in, it's like the sun is rising here. And as you exhale, tension melts from your whole body down into the earth where it gets recycled. Each in-breath is an injection of liquid sunshine into the region of the heart here. And it spreads throughout the whole body naturally. It knows what to do. The light knows what to do. Each exhale is another release of obvious or hidden tension down into the earth. And just notice how you're feeling right now. What changed? This is a practice that you can do for as long as you want. If you're new to what we call meditation, you could do this 5 minutes. It'll go by like that. And then extend it 2 minutes a day. You cultivate this, you're going to increase your capacity for seeing what matters, for letting go of what doesn't matter, for greater intuition. This is meditation, and meditation will make you better at everything you do. And meditation doesn't mean having no thoughts. You leave the thoughts alone. They pass like clouds in the sky. The sky is always the sky. The sky is never not the sky. Clouds come, clouds go. So do thoughts. The slower and the longer you make your exhales, the more the thinking stream will slow down. And eventually, you're going to notice the gap between your thoughts and start hanging out there more often. The last thing I'll say is the test of any good meditation is not any special phenomena that happen while your eyes are closed. It's how you feel when you get up from the practice. So take a couple of deep breaths just to signal a transition to your body. And since all of you are not physically here in the room, just connected through the quantum field, I'll ask Christian, what's different for you, Christian? What do you notice?
Good work. Where do I have to sign up?
What do you notice, though, physically or emotionally or mentally? What's different? It was just a couple of minutes. What do you notice? And you've got to practice already.
It was just relaxing. It was just like being there in the moment. There was like no outside world. I mean, meanwhile, sometimes I just heard your voice. I didn't even notice what you were saying. I was just like going deeper and deeper and deeper.
And that's part of, I think when we were talking about mastery, like I have a love for the practice. I practice for decades, countless hours. So in a way, it doesn't really matter what I'm speaking. What matters is what's coming off my field. I could be speaking the same thing in Mandarin, maybe. But if I'm connected to what I'm talking about, there's a presence that's palpable, downloadable by your own nervous system. Mm-hmm. And this is part of why I have a good teacher who's further down the road in whatever the discipline is, and spend time with them, engage with them, whether it's their material or you have a chance to engage with the living person, to be available to those downloads. And then it's like leapfrog. We make these quantum leaps that are not linear, that the mind can't even understand. It's totally possible. We talk about a lot of this. It was just how I know you is because of Unity. And it was just working together. We filmed a 9-day course, The Fundamentals of Tantric Meditation Practice. Tantra is not advanced getting off techniques, although you'll probably will have better sex when you have a good meditation practice because you're less in the way, less goal-oriented. Tantra is about waking up to the reality that supreme awareness, the creative power of life itself, lives within us already, and integrating that with being these particular people who have these particular dharmas, these particular roles in the world, without forgetting we are also the all of it. To be able to be local and non-local simultaneously and play and love.
And how is this course called if somebody's interested?
It's called The Alchemy of Love.
The Alchemy of Love.
Yeah. Alchemy of Love, Fundamentals of Tantric Practice. They took 2 of my courses from Commune, my Ecstatic Breathwork course and my Abundant Joy course. Okay. They mashed it up into one course that's been doing really, really well in the different countries.
Okay, so we're definitely going to put the link down below. But for sure you have also your own...
ScottSchwenk.com. We've got lots going on.
Okay.
In person, mostly virtual. I do private master coaching. I work with high performance people who want to expand, who are real. I care to work with the people who are interested in a life of mastery. Mm-hmm. Here's why. Because the people that are interested in a life of mastery are not just in it for themselves anymore. Okay. They're in it for being a fountain rather than a drain in this life. Okay. And why that interests me is because those people, whether they want to be a teacher, they are a teacher, a facilitator, a CEO, they've got skin in the game. Okay. They're not going to throw off their rosary and their loincloth at the first sight of one of their own challenges. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're going to sit in the fire and sit through many fires and transform. And that's what's really interesting is to be with a person through the alchemical process over and over and over again, to bear witness.
Yeah, and that's how you develop, and that's why I think also sometimes teacher changes or you develop, or maybe you are listening right now to something and you think, that's not the thing that takes me to the next level. Maybe Scott is now a good possibility for you. Just to tell a little bit of story about us, it was like he was at Unity and they wanted to give their well-known clients, their well-known speakers a little thank you, and that's where they give them the Chiwon.
The second I put it on, I was standing in their kitchen on a break before going down and finishing the filming of the course materials, the marketing materials. I knew before I even pulled it out of the box, just holding it, I was holding something important to me. And I have only taken it off to get a massage so they can get at my neck easily. Yeah. It's a game changer. I've used other technologies. I'm not going to name them, but I've used other technologies that are really prominent in the marketplace for a couple of decades, and they were helpful. This is absolutely the next level. Absolutely the next level.
Thank you.
And I would say that without you here. What I notice is that I take deeper breaths. I notice my moods are more consistent. I notice that I feel my heart more accessible. Like the best parts of my heart are more accessible. I notice that I don't have the same eye strain in front of my laptop. I Zoomed before coming here all morning. I had 4 hours of Zooming. I didn't have the fatigue that I usually have. And I'm sure I'm going to notice more. I'm only in the end of the first maybe month, if that, of having this. And I'm very excited. On its way to me at some point is the Chi Home and the bracelet. They work in synergy. I mean, you loaned me your bracelet for a day or afternoon when we were hanging out. The two together was exponential. And then hanging out with you or other people who are wearing them, other speakers at the Find Your Flow Festival with Unity, I also noticed it there. There's like this exponential magnification of the field. It was palpable.
Yeah, that's why I love it, because he's putting into words I could not express myself. It's really beautiful how you really strongly experience it. And this is like where I always invite everybody to YouTube. We have there some deep technology explanations, like what's
I will watch.
physically going on. But the main idea is like we're always talking about coherent water. Like our body, like if we just count the molecules, it's a lot of water molecules. It's like normally if you say about the weight, it's like 50 to 60%. But if you count the water molecules, not the weight, then it's over 90%. So if you're counting the molecules, you could say it's just walking water.
Wow.
And this were the point when I first read this, said like, wow, if it's just water, what happens if we a little bit improve this water? So water itself has an angle between. And if this angle goes up over 109.5 degrees, then you call it coherent. So normally it's 104.5, something around this. So if the angle goes up and the molecules come a little bit closer, then you call it coherent. And this coherent state has crazy possibilities. And this, for example, increases the EMF protection. Means like if you have electrons flying around it, then it's more likely that they will absorb EMF that tries to get into it.
Instead of my body taking the hit.
For example. Now it's really getting interesting. Now we're in the quantum mechanic. There's like a tunnel effect. It means like, for example, if you have a cell and water wants to go behind the cell wall, there's a physics effect that's called the tunnel effect. It means the water jumps through the wall.
So am I going to be able to walk through walls?
Yeah, maybe.
Since I'm 90% water,
I
should be able to go behind the wall.
But the 1% maybe doesn't allow it. But the cool thing about this is what I also think is this could be a way how our soul is transferred from the quantum field into the body.
Our soul is jumping behind the wall, tunneling.
With the water molecules, that the knowledge is stored into the water molecules. So if you talk to quantum physics, it says like a water storage is really a good storage. Like information into water is really good and easy, and it's a big storage. This could be, then we're in the philosophy, this could be the way how the soul is transported. That you could say our full soul is stored somewhere, and the better this coherent path, the more of our true soul could be shown here.
Okay, so I just want to recap something that we said earlier that relates to this, which is we talked about basically being vessels for the creative power of life itself. Yeah. Now you're explaining how it's possible in a mechanical sense, or philosophical.
Quantum philosophy. We want to be true, but this is when I read through all this and I felt this, I'm like, wow. If we could implement this more, this could be really a chance for mankind. Yeah, and that's the idea behind the Chi1, the Chi bracelet, Chi home, is to literally to feed the water molecules so that the chance is getting increased that they get coherent.
All I have left is to say thank you for doing and living whatever you had to do and live to be able to bring this stuff forward. And whatever's yet to come through you.
Thank you.
And your team. Yeah. There's only one thing happening. There's only one awareness speaking out of my mouth and listening through your ears and looking out through all the eyes in the room and all the eyes that are watching this video. There's only one awareness. So something is currently manifesting as everything without losing any of her original power. So the trees we're planting are for other versions of ourselves. We're all fingers on the same hand. Whether it's in the so-called future or the so-called past, it's all one expression with many flavors.
Beautiful. Thank you a lot for listening. Thank you for joining our ride. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Nova. Thank you, Anna, for holding the energy, making this happen. And thank you very much.
Namaste.